Hi everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Today I want to show you some of the things you need to be aware of when trying to develop strategies in MotiveWave. First off, it's really important to understand that MotiveWave is a fairly complex beast to master. There are a lot of moving parts in this beast, which it is. What's important to understand is the steps involved to what to look for when it comes to developing strategies. First off, if you are interested in these topics, just come on over to the quantlabs.net/book. Get yourself a bunch of tech books, and hopefully that will lead you into the right steps on where you want to go. On top of that, you'll be also put on the mailing list as well. All right, back to the strategy development here. So, a couple of things here. I'm trying to develop a strategy combined with RSI and something called BB width, Bollinger band width. Now, I've done a lot of experimentation with a lot of things. One of the things that I want you to be aware of is when you are developing in MotiveWave, there was an article put out on medium.com, and what it says was that machine learning can be questionable, but what really worked for this person was the consistency of Bollinger bands, and mentioned about the width of the difference between the upper and lower band. And this is one of the things I like about this particular study or indicator, whatever you want to call it. It represents a line contraction and expansion between the bands, upper and lower, and on recent volatility. This works really well for what I'm finding for both crypto and Forex. And a high BB width often indicates a slowing trend, with a low width indicating a forming trend. When you look at these sort of things, what you'll notice here is I'm looking at. Okay, let me first back up. So we're looking at two pieces here, two things in MotiveWave, and when you're looking at the studies and the strategies, the code in Java, you should look at ones that have working strategies, especially if you're new at this. What I did find is that with RSI, luckily there's an RSI study, this one, and then there's an RSI strategy. Okay, so because I have the RSI strategy, I can guarantee myself to know the chances are this works. Okay, because it's obviously coded up by somebody at MotiveWave where it's done properly, and it should work because they vetted it and put it up on their site. So you know, regardless of how you code up a strategy or a study with all the different conditions and objects or whatever that are combined with coding up something in MotiveWave, you may do it wrong. You may end up spinning your wheels and wasting your time. Here, because this is already currently done with RSI, what I would recommend you really do is do both a walk forward and a back test on a working strategy from MotiveWave and work off of that. So what I've done is I've created a back test for both the RSI strategy that is part of the from MotiveWave. So if you look at this particular back test, I can do both a back test and a walk forward. I can do a strategy. Everything I leave as default for now. The only thing I work for, and this is using a Wanda, and I've shown this in the past, is using Australian dollar, Canadian euro, and USD pairs. One thing I should also mention here, I've also discovered is that even though these may be listed out of the gate, you may have problems downloading data from the local database for certain pairs or certain instruments. So you can do that. There is a video that will show you how to get around that on the MotiveWave site and their YouTube tutorials. So be aware of that, but I'm just using standard, these pairs right here. The data is, I'm only using daily data just to speed up the back testing process. And I'm using the 8/24, August 24th to 11/24 as well. I could go all the way up to today's date, which is Thursday, the 28th. And again, execution, $100,000 capital, and there's an optimizer in there as well. So that may work. You'll see how fast it works when it's with daily data. The thing here you got to be really cognizant of is where are the profits, okay? So when you go through your net profit here, what you'll notice here, we have two areas that we can look at that will give you profit. Because right now, when you develop a strategy, I've got a query on their community forum, MotiveWave, can you apply one strategy and have that one strategy execute and talk to multiple instruments from within one strategy? Because right now, from what I'm seeing, you load up a chart and then you can run a strategy from that. And, obviously that's a one-to-one relationship between the strategy when it's running and the chart. What I'm looking for, if possible, is to have a strategy and run against multiple charts or instruments at once. For now, though, this is fine from a one-to-one relationship between the strategy and the instrument. The reason I say that is because when you look at the profit opportunity here on the time frame I've selected, we have Canadian against the Japanese yen as being fairly profitable, and the other big one is the euro against the British pound. So if this is true, and then here we also have the USD Mexican, which is really big at 2,900. So you may think, okay, if I just focus on one pair with this strategy, purely RSI, where will I make most of my money? Well, in this case, it's the USD in Mexico because it's $2,900, but you have not factored in the spread cost and the commission as well. So from the get-go, will you make money because it's in Mexico dollars, because the spread cost would be pretty high. So if that is the case, then you might just want to focus on the major Forex pairs or currency pairs. So if we take the assumption, we could just focus on the euro against British pound and the Canadian against the Japanese yen. But remember, that's historical. But you could also do a walk forward test as well. Let me just run this to make sure I get the latest info. So I'll edit this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this now to walk forward and update and backtest. So this now is going to be my walk forward process. The data will change. So going under the walk forward here, you'll notice here, there's not as much profit. And remember, we're supposed to be factoring in $100,000 capital. So it's not looking all that good for profit. So here we have USD Canada as the one with, if any, potential. But you see here, if we do the walk forward, we'd be down $6,420. So, you got to be really careful here on the walk forward process. So what does that mean? Should we just focus on the Canadian against the Japanese yen, or should we focus on the 93.80 that's generated on the US Canadian? So a couple things we need to work out here is the number of trades factored in to get that. Now, what I could do is I could see on the data and change the bar data. Let's say bar size, we just go down to, I'll say 4 hours, and then I'll do an update backtest. These are probably messed up because of I'm not readjusting everything. So now we're doing a 4-hour time frame, see if there's any changes. And actually there is. So again, on the walk forward, not much has changed on the walk forward, except with this one here, the euro against the Norwegian. So, again, that says to yourself, do you just focus on this pair on the euro Norwegian? Now, if you are going to do Forex, and I've always been very skeptical of Forex. Now, remember, I'm using Oanda. So if I look at Oanda real-time spread, I can get the cost for that red spread cost on that pair, which is the Euro Norwegian, and I can kind of get an idea of what that would cost me just to eat probably a best break even. So here, looking at it, it's at 10, which people have told me if you want to have a spread cost of under you know 7 or 6 to make it worthwhile. But I mean, there are some crazy spread cost here. Let me see here. I got the wrong column. So it's at 47.3. You're not going to make money on that because of the spread cost is too high. So again, you got it. You're forcing yourself to only work with the major pairs. And when you look at the major pairs, it's not that good. You see what I'm saying? You got USD Canadian at 240, and then the USD against the Denmark. So there's not a lot of selection here. Euro and the Canadian, and then the Euro against the franc. So not a lot to work from. But let's just say we have here the best performer out of this lot is, according to the optimize, I mean, the USD Mexico is your best bet. But again, the spread would be pretty crazy. 58.2. You may be able to do that if you do a back test factoring in the spread and the commission, because that is so good. But again, that's on a back test, I believe. I'm still kind of new at how to interpret this, but if you were just to focus only on your potential, you might have the Euro USD. Yeah, it looks like the Euro USD might be your best bet. And that does not trade a lot. But let's just say you have the Euro USD, okay? The next step is, as I said, I'm combining the strategy with 2 studies, RSI and the Bollinger width. So what I could do here is I could bring up, I guess, the US pairs here, or the chart for Euro against USD. Okay, so here I'm gonna just stick with let's say 4 hour just for now, keep it consistent. So here we are. Now you can see here I've already set up the Bollinger bandwidth. So here's the things we need to look for when it comes to these strategies to see if they work or not. Just only on now Bollinger bandwidth. So these are the orders you got to go through. First you do your back test, and then you focus on that, and you see, okay, you do a walk forward and try to figure out what is the most profitable pair of a lot on a walk forward. If you know there's potential at a certain pair, then the next step, combined with this other indicator I'm using or study, is if I was just to trade only the one pair, hoping that this pair is the most profitable moving forward with a walk forward test, the question becomes, well, what happens if I look for the parameters on this pair, Euro USD, on what would trigger a potential entry, regardless if I have an RSI or not. So you can see here, here's your parameter. If you look at scenarios on the BBW to work, the Bollinger bandwidth, we have here one pair. Okay, you can see that that moves right there, but it also bounces around where it looks like our BB width needs to be set at 0.00397 there at this rate. So that might be a magical parameter you need to say to confirm this is the entry you would need at this rate ratio or this parameter value to make a entry. Here we could see some patterns here again. So here we're at 0.00517. We are here at 0.0047. 0.0053. Right here we're at 0.0047. So it looks around if we are below 0.0467, that might be a good entry with using the BB width. Now, the other thing we need to factor in is the RSI as well to overlay it. Okay. Again, I just use defaults. I'm sure I could probably make it a lot better. So here we're using the combined pairs. So here we see we have a potential entry here, but what does it say on the RSI? You could see here the RSI is just under 43. So these are the sort of things you want to see, the two combination of what does the RSI need to be in order for an entry to know that we have a potential upswing coming. We could see here in these two scenarios that the RSI is just under 50. Okay, so next question is what is the BBW parameter at these points? So we're talking roughly around here. So from what I'm seeing, it's at 0.00443. Here, it's at 0.00, right here, sorry. It's at below 0.00355. Here, the next swing up is, it's at 0.005, but what's the RSI at this, see right here? You can see it dips below 40 and then people jump in at that rate. But as people pile in, I would expect, yeah, you can see that the RSI is already approaching towards 70, which means it's already overbought. So this is why I like this combination of the BB width as well as the RSI. But the problem is there's no universal setting for all pairs in the universe of Forex. So part of the problem you need to figure out is using this optimize tool to figure out what potential pair will give you most profit over a certain period of time. What can you expect that will give you profit? So in this case, you can see that the Euro USD is the number one if you only use the major pairs. And from that, you can also see that we can figure out roughly what the parameters are needed to get a combined RSI setting and a BB width setting to make the entry happen. And then a good exit is really just get out as the RSI hits close to 60. So here you can see on this upswing, grab that bar. What's that setting of the RSI? So it's around 65, not exactly 70. Here, the RSI could be set easily at over 70 or pretty close. So it's probably good once you have as the exit, the RSI hits over 65 or approaching 70. You can see here these are overbought, and your RSI is not there. So on the exit, you could just use the RSI, but then you could also use combinations of rate of change or rate of or momentum to see if the upswing will continue. Or in your case, you could just use a standard stop loss, take profit as well. There's different scenarios here on the exit. I find the entry here for both the combined RSI and Bollinger bandwidth seems to be pretty predictable. See here you can see the RSI is fairly low right down here. And what will your see right see here, it's tough to say because it's 0.004. So it'll miss that upswing, but you know, you have to pretty well play around with it. So here it's at 0.00116. So yeah, you got to be able to figure out what the BBW will be for the setting. Here we have another big move up, but look at this right here. Your BBW is less than 0.005. And again, if you look at that RSI, it's way undervalued, but as it approaches 0.5 here, what's the BBW at? And then boom. But again, you cannot predict these moves 100%. Right here, the BBW would be probably in around here, but it'll miss that because the RSI hasn't taken off yet. See here, so it'll probably capture the trade right here if the BBW is still less than 5. So it's a combination of things to look for, but at least I'm showing you the thinking process on how to achieve and build a proper strategy, doing a back test, focusing on only the pairs that show profit potential with a walk forward. But again, that's based upon recent historical performance. So that's pretty well it. Hopefully I'll help you out, and we shall talk to you later. Have yourselves a good day. Thanks for watching.